Okay, hi everyone. I am Dr. Dana Agmon. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to a brief info session that we're going to have about the residential college at West Ambler, Johnston. So a few points of order. I'm really glad that you were able to join us today. We are going to go from now until 5:30, and if you need to leave at any point, of course, do so. And if you have questions that you didn't have a chance to ask and only occur to you after, then please email me. I'll put my email in the chat section in a second. So what we're going to do today, just to give you an overview, I'm going to really briefly introduce what West AJ is. And then my colleague, Emily Whitehouse, who is the Student Life Coordinator, who lives in the building as well, will talk about some of our traditions. Then Hassan Siddiqui, who's one of our graduating seniors, he just waved, we'll talk about his experiences here. Then Awad Abdelhalim, who is one of the graduate students who lives in the building, will talk about the house systems, and then we'll have roughly 10 minutes to do the Q&A. And the way that we're going to do the Q&A, at any point, if you have a question, just type it into the chat, and Emily and I will monitor that, and we'll make sure that we'll get to your question during the Q&A. And if we don't, for some reason, get to it, although I don't anticipate that, then we can reach out. Okay. So I am a history professor here at Virginia Tech, but I'm also the faculty principal at West AJ, and I'm actually coming at you now from my apartment in West AJ. I live on the 4th floor of the building with my partner and our 2 young children. Next year, when you all, I hope, join us, it will be my 4th year at West AJ, and it has been the most rewarding, meaningful, and exciting part of my career. So what is a residential college, you might ask yourself? So the way that I like to explain what we do at West AJ is that we take a very large university and we make it small. So Virginia Tech is a large, major research institution, and there are tremendous benefits to you that come with that. You get to do undergraduate research, you're involved in cutting edge work, you are, you can have a close contact with faculty who are doing really innovative, important work in their fields, but also it can feel a little bit overwhelming. So what we try to do is we make sure that you have all the benefits of a major research institution, but you also experience something that's closer to a small liberal arts experience. So what that means is that you have a lot of close contact with faculty outside the classroom. That's me, who lives in the building, but it's also 25 other faculty members from departments all across the university who are affiliated with us and as senior fellows, and they come and have dinner with you, they come to our events, they put on their own events, they invite you to take part in their interests and their curiosities. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that you get to really expand and enrich your intellectual experience beyond just your major. And so you will have a major, and that will fulfill a big part of your time and your intellectual engagement, but that's not all a university experience should be about. It should also be about pushing yourself and your boundaries and exploring things that you never thought you would learn anything about, and meeting people from different backgrounds and reading books that you'd never heard of and hearing people talk about topics about which you know nothing. And that is the heart of the university experience. And we provide a ton of different ways for you to do that. And then the final thing I'll say that makes West AJ really unique is that it is a place that is driven by you, our students. So you might have heard about a lot of other living learning programs at Virginia Tech, and a lot of them have a particular focus, right? They're for people who are in one major or they have a particular interest, and that is what brings them together. We offer something that's different. It is the more traditional residential college experience in which we have no dedicated majors, we have no course requirements, and the reason is that the content of what happens at West AJ is always created by the passions and curiosities of the people involved in West AJ. That's you, the students, that's the faculty, that's the graduate students. So whatever you dream of, whatever kind of events you want to make happen, we will make that a reality, because that means that we're really fulfilling our mission of getting people to learn from one another outside of the classroom. Okay, so I'm going to stop now and turn things over to Emily, who will talk a little bit about some of our traditions at West AJ.
Hi, folks. Thanks so much for being here today. Like Dr. Igman said, my name is Emily Whitehouse. I'm the Student Life Coordinator for West AJ. I have been here since August of 2019. So I am brand new and have loved my time here, and I'm so excited to continue and hopefully welcome all of you into West AJ next year. Basically, my role is to help connect students to resources and programs and things that might help them be successful during their time in West AJ and at Virginia Tech. I also supervise the RAs. I too live here in the building with my dog Bella, and we are frequently out about campus on walks. So like Dr. Mont also said, I am just going to touch briefly on one of the things that I really love about our residential college at West Ambler Johnston that I think makes us really special, and I think really makes West AJ feel like home. Definitely for me, and I think for several of the residents here, and those are our traditions. So every year we start off with the Aims of Education address. The Aims of Education address is when we invite a distinguished speaker to come and talk about the meaning of a liberal arts education, which is essentially why we're all here. What has brought us here, what's brought us to West AJ, what's brought us into all of our scholarship during your time here. It's really, really awesome and fun. And it definitely sets the tone for our year together as a community. Last fall, we invited world-renowned violinist Vijay Gupta to come, and he did like a jam session in West AJ and invited like the whole community out to play with him. And we ended the address with a really nice reception. So I have only been to one Aims of Education, but it's definitely something very special and very powerful that you will definitely remember in your time here. We also have 2 weekly traditions that we keep during the academic year. So our first one is faculty, like faculty, but TEA, because we really value witty puns here. So every Monday at 4, we gather in Dr. Igman's lovely apartment, and we have a faculty member come talk about their work and research with us. And we get to have a really awesome, cool conversation with them over free food and, of course, tea. And so some of my favorite ones that we had from this past semester, we had a faculty member come talk about protest, and one of our Griffs, Zizo, actually presented as well on his experience in protest. Before the primaries happened, we had another faculty member come out and talk about voting structure, which was very interesting. I definitely learned way more about voting. And then we also, some of you may have heard of Dr. Kevin Cruz, who's a very famous historian. He came and presented on the Department of Justice and Civil Rights, which was awesome to get to meet him. And then on Thursdays, we gather at one of the dining halls on campus, D2, and we have house dinner together. So that is when the whole community is invited out to share a meal together and be together in community. The faculty members come out with their families and they join. And that's just a really good way to kind of end the week and be together in celebration. And then at the end of the year, we end things with this really big block party that I have heard legends about. I'm very sad that it didn't get to happen this year. But like Dr. Igman said, we really value students being able to create your own community here. So our student leaders actually plan our end of the year block party. I have heard legend from years past that there have been riding bulls, like the ones at the summer festivals. I've heard rumors of a dunk tank, and I've also heard rumors of a food truck. I will let people who've been here in years past confirm or deny those rumors. But definitely a very good, fun way to end the year. And it's something that our student leaders are totally involved in planning each year. So that is just a brief touch on some of our traditions here in West AJ. But like Dr. Agman said, we really value you being able to create whatever community you want, whatever that looks like. So we always welcome new ideas, new programs, and new experiences, because we want it to be definitely the best experience for you, and for you to have a place that feels like home, and for you to have a say in that. But I will pass the mic over to Hassan, who will talk a little bit more about his experience as a student here.
Hey guys, so I'm Hassan Siddiqui. I'm graduating in, I guess, a couple of weeks, which normally would be very exciting, but honestly, the fact that I'm leaving West AJ is kind of sad. But West AJ has definitely become second home for me, if not a primary home for me over the past couple of years. I was there all 3 years, starting there as a freshman, and then as a sophomore, I lived there as an apartment fellow, which is this cool thing in West AJ. I would say there's 8 of them, where you can live in an apartment within the building. It's pretty hype. There's like 2 huge rooms in there, so you can choose one of those rooms. You got a kitchen in it. You get your own personal bathroom. It's nice. Even about that, the bathrooms in general are insane. It's a great place. But so I started as a normal resident in the normal room as a freshman, and then I lived in the apartment last year, and then now I moved back down to the first floor, and it's just like such a great experience because there's such a large diversity of students all around, and like just whoever you want to connect to, you're going to find them, and whoever you don't know that you want to connect to, you're still going to find them, just because of how many people that are there and just how great the community is. And also, honestly, as a freshman, like as my first semester, I wasn't too involved, and I still had a great time. It's not like they're like in your face and being like, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's really what you make it, and if you choose to take advantage of what you can, it becomes the experience of a lifetime. Like, I'm not even trying to cap here. It's like straight up, it's just amazing. But yeah, it's great. And like one thing that's great that Dr. Agman was talking about is how, since we're not a major specific like dorm, it's so easy to find so many people from like different same classes that you're in, or different majors that you're in, and then you guys can just like, you guys who live in the same building, it's so easy to work together if you need help, study like that, or if not, just make friends in all these different things. Like me personally, I made close friends with this guy named John Garman, who's about to go to Yale for grad school in physics, and he's like an absolute nerd. And I never thought I would like learning about this stuff, but like I can hear him talk for ages. It's awesome. But yeah, honestly, like there's so many events that you can do at in West AJ too. I'm sure Awad's gonna speak more on the leadership aspect and the fact that we're split into houses, but there's like constantly events, and the leadership in West AJ is amazing, and they're always hosting events. I've gone to Smith Mountain Lake and done a retreat with West AJ, which is amazing. We've gone to eat at this place called The Home Place, which is like 30-40 minutes away from Tech, and it's like so renowned for having amazing food. Great time. Just so many other things. We have like so much funding to do anything you want within West AJ, outside of West AJ. It's really the best of everything. And not only, I'd even get to the fact that if you like look at it in terms of like living and like as a dorm, it kind of blows everything out of the water. The rooms are pretty nice. The bathrooms, that's always been my biggest thing, especially going to college. Like I have a phobia of public bathrooms, and these were great. They took away, these worked well. But everything is just great. Like I love West AJ, and if I were to come back for a couple more years, I would definitely choose to stay there.
Great, thank you, Hassan, so much. I might come back to you with a couple of follow-up questions, but now, Awad, if you'll jump in.
All right, sure. Hi, everyone. So my name is Awad. I am one of the graduate students living here. I'll give you kind of like an overview of the structure and how I fit in West AJ. I think Dr. Agman, Emily, and Hassan already like pretty much spoke about everything, so they didn't leave me much there. But I think we have around 8 students in total, and those are divided into 4 houses. So those 4 houses, if you want to think about it, you can think about it as like kind of like little state governments, and we have one big federal government called the Alliance. But if it's more fun, you can think about it like as basically your Hogwarts model in real life. So you think your Hogwarts, there you go, to chance. So the 4 houses have our Locust, Holly, Hawthorne, and hickory. They're named after four trees that grow in Virginia. And basically, if we start from the bottom up, what we have is there's all of us, graduate, and students form councils. So for each of those four houses, there is a council. As Hassan mentioned, there's a few apartments associated with each house. So you can think of those kind of like as an intermediate, which is being a resident and being a council. The house council forms the alliance. So the alliance is kind of basically the within government within West State. There is four people like me, so the graduate students who work with the health council and the faculty. So for each house, lots of faculty are associated, but there's like one main faculty that's kind of like the faculty associated with the house. And then there is Dr. Agmon, who's kind of like the top of the pyramid. And it's really nice that we have kind of like this structure, but it's not really like hierarchical or linear or anything. Like anyone from the resident who's been on day one, everyone can make an event, this do something. We have a lot of support and which is something that has been also
Awad, I'm really sorry. I'm going to interrupt you because I think the audio is extremely glitchy. So I'm guessing that most people can't hear you. So I'm going to jump in if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
So just in case because I think Awad, I understand it sounds like he was jumping in and out. So I'll just say like a quick summary of what he was saying. Think about it a little bit like the Harry Potter Hogwarts model. Okay, we're one big happy community, but within that community, you get a stronger sense of affinity within each of the four houses that you are affiliated with. Everyone in West AJ is invited to everything. So if one house is throwing a karaoke night and a different house is doing a haunted house for Halloween and another house is running a Bollywood night, these are all events that we regularly have. Everyone is invited to come to everything, but your smaller house community helps you kind of find your feet and find a smaller group of friends initially. And another great thing about the house structure, like Awad was saying, is that it really gives a lot of our students a chance at leadership. So there are a lot of different ways to become involved here. And we have a lot of resources. That's great. That means we can make your dreams happen. It also means it helps you build your CV by getting experience, managing budgets, working with other people, executing your plans. This is all kind of under the general umbrella and philosophy that you are here at Virginia Tech as scholars first. And for everyone who's involved in West AJ, it's always a message that's really important for me to convey, is that we are here to support your academic and intellectual growth. And anything that you do in West AJ is just the cherry on top of the cake. I want to just jump on a couple of things that Hassan said about what's going on. Something that I have found really incredible in my experience in West AJ is just the breadth and diversity of the events that happen here every single week and how many of them are actually led by the students. So, it will be stuff as, potentially like silly or relaxing, like a Bob Ross paint night or trivia games that happen here every week. We have, for different events, so like for Black History Month, we generally have a documentary film festival. We've had events for Earth Day involved with campus groups that are involved in environmental justice. We have kind of trips out to nature. We have faculty who take students on field trips. So this last semester, we had a faculty member who took a group of students to see a performance in the Shakespeare Center in Staunton, which is a kind of a nationally renowned theater center. People here do book clubs. They do tutoring, peer tutoring for one another. Really kind of anything that you can dream of happens here. Like we will have often like a dozen or more events going on. Now, a question in the chat was about the 2-year contract. Yes, there is a 2-year contract if you come to live at West AJ, and we see that as actually one of the main perks that we offer. On-campus housing is very desirable at Virginia Tech, and generally students are only guaranteed on-campus housing for the first year. And after the first year, if you still want on-campus housing, you have to enter what we call the lottery, one of the big benefits of living in West AJ is that you get to jump the line in the lottery. And not only are you guaranteed housing for the first 2 years in West AJ, but we will actually guarantee your housing for all 4 years without having to enter into the lottery. Emily, do you want to talk about the application process, which I see is another question in the chat?
Sorry, I was having microphone difficulties. Yes, so in terms of how the houses are assigned, so your house depends on your placement in West AJ. So think of West AJ as divided kind of into quadrants. So certain like rooms on upper left quadrant are Holly, upper right quadrant Hawthorne, lower left quadrant Hawthorne, and then bottom is Honey Locust. So a lot of it depends on where you're placed in West AJ, but you can list preferences whenever you apply for through the Living Learning Program application. Whenever you put West AJ, that is one of the questions on there. You can list a house preference, and your preferences are always taken into consideration. Is there a different in each house? Awad, do you want to talk a little bit about that one? Maybe not,
jump in.
audio.
Awad is still having audio difficulties.
Yeah.
There isn't really a difference between the houses. I would say they're all great wherever you end up. It's fine. If you have a lot of friends in one house and you happen to live in another one, we're happy to move you after a year. But really, it makes I think there isn't like a particular character associated with each house. Hassan, one of the questions in the chat was about finding a roommate. Could you speak to that?
Yeah. So good ways to go about it, at least something that I've definitely done was, I know there's a lot of Facebook pages for like class of 2024 or something like that. And there's like a lot of people saying like, oh, this is who I am. It's kind of like, they give like this little rundown of who they are and what they look for in a roommate. And then that's like a good way to like, like maybe find some people and then connect with them. And then you guys can get on the same mindset, say, oh, we both want to live in West AJ. That'd be cool. But then this would probably be harder, but what I think would be best is if you have friends who have mutual friends that are going to tech, those I feel like probably work best, because then not only do your friends know you well and they can explain it to both, but then there's also just always that like mutual connection that always makes things work more seamlessly and easy. But if you're kind of going out of nowhere, I always say Facebook is definitely the best place to start.
Thank you. There were a few questions about application and contract that I'll answer. And while I do that, Emily, would you please put in the chat the link on how to apply to West AJ? Okay. So people ask, what is the application to live in West AJ? Yes, there is a specific West AJ application. The link to it will show up in the chat momentarily. But basically, if you just go to housing, like the Virginia Tech housing site, you will find a link to apply to an LLP, which is a living learning program. You might have noticed by now that Virginia Tech is very, very big on acronyms. So you'll find a lot of those. So you apply to an LLP. And once you go into that section, you will choose the residential college at West AJ. Our application process is extremely straightforward. We ask you to write a 1-paragraph essay reflecting on how you think that living in a diverse, inclusive, and intellectually rich and engaging environment like West AJ will advance your education. So you write that little paragraph, then we read it, and then we accept you. I will tell you that you will be accepted. Like, this is we're happy to have you, basically. Like, if you want to be with us and we want you here, that's basically, like, it's a love connection immediately. The prices are all available on the housing website, and you can go and follow those. Someone asked if all residence hall require signing a contract. Yes, they do. The difference is that West AJ and two other of the residential colleges, the Honors Residential Commons and the one called OSHAG, all three of those require a 2-year contract. And to answer the question about this, yes, it is a requirement. It's not a suggestion. Another question that I would like to respond to is when you could do it, when can you apply? The answer is now. We are currently accepting applications, and we will be accepting them, I think, through July 1st. Emily, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But that is this is the application period. And again, it's very straightforward. There was a question about rooming with upperclassmen. Yes, it is possible that a first-year student will room with an upperclassman. We see that really as a benefit, because one of the things that we're trying to do here is to connect people across majors, but also across years. So we're a multi-generational community. That means, like Hassan, he's graduating, but roughly half of our students will be first-year students. So someone asked me recently, do you get a traditional first-year experience by living at West AJ? I would say absolutely, but maybe I'll call on Hassan again to talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like traditional is always, of course, up to interpretation, but like you would definitely get that, if not better, at West AJ. Like if you're just looking for like that traditional, you can definitely get it there. But I just think there's so many more opportunities to expound on that at West AJ that like you won't find at other places. And like another like thing just in general, like Dr. Agman was saying, is that like the fact that there are so many upperclassmen, I think kind of like speaks to how great West AJ is, because so many people just want to stay there and like just stay there on campus. So it's just a great time. Yeah.
Hassan, could you talk about maybe what was your, if you had to pick one favorite experience at West AJ, what would it be? Oop. You need to unmute yourself. Hang on one sec. Okay, there you go.
Sorry. Okay, you said my favorite experience at West AJ?
Yes.
I would say over time, in a kind of general sense, like I kind of found my people, and after finding my people, there's just like it's so easy, especially since we live together, that like you can just spend like long nights and just like vibing together. Honestly, just like having a good time, just being, just great friends, great community. There's like in terms of a single experience, earlier I would say I think it was October of last semester, we went on this cute little bonfire. It was a great time. We were like next to this lake, and like we grilled some food on the grill. We were playing catch with the football and a frisbee by this very fancy lake, like 20-30 minutes out. And then we just like vibed throughout the night. The vibes were insane. I loved it. Like it's just something that's always going to be in my memories. Just it's always good times and good vibes, and I love it.
And I'll say that that particular event, to me, I think really represents some of the best things about West AJ. The woman who organized it was a first-year student, so she just jumped straight into the fray and became really involved. And we have a faculty member who's a natural scientist who's very involved kind of in preservation of the area around us. And she came and she talked a little bit about kind of the lake and the ecosystem that it's part of. So it was a great combination of like just pure fun, social fun, but also kind of connecting to the academic resources that we have here. Okay, so I want to answer a few of the questions in the chat, and then I'm going to turn a question over to Emily. Someone asked, said that they know students who lived here this year and moved after 1 year. That is because, as you might have heard this year, Virginia Tech had a massive over-enrollment situation, and a lot of things had to change to accommodate that. And that was one of the things that first-year students, for the first time ever in Virginia Tech's history for a long time, first year students were released from an on-campus living requirement, and also there were no multiple year contracts, but we're coming back to the multi-year contract next year. Question about becoming an RA? Yes, absolutely. Not as a first year student, but after the first year. And then there was a question in the chat, Emily, about what the rooms look like. So maybe you could describe them a little bit. Oh, actually, I think Hassan also is in a room, so he can like move his camera around, although since he's a graduate fellow, he lives in a room alone, and these are generally two-person rooms.
You mean Awad, right?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
No, you're good.
You're not. Wait, are you not here? Oh, yeah, you're not.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So, Emily, do you want to describe the rooms? Okay, it looks like
room,
having audio problems, but I'll say there are two-person rooms. Each room has a bed, which can be lofted, which means you can like either keep it at the regular position or you move it up high. And then there are two desks that most students, I think, they loft the bed and they put the desk underneath so they have like more workspace. And I'm always surprised, like in some of the rooms, like how nice the students make them. That's not the case for everyone, but I think they are, some of them are really charming. And something that's great about West AJ is that we have a ton of common spaces. So in addition to the room, we have multiple lounges on every floor. We have classrooms in the building. I sometimes teach in them. So, you know, if you take a class here, you can go to class in your slippers, although don't say that I authorize this. We have a movie theater, which is an amazing kind of resource. We have a kitchen and a game room with ping pong tables and pool tables. Just a lot of spaces in which to create community, which is really kind of the key thing that we try to do. And I see that there is a gallery room available for you now in the link. Okay, so because I am very committed to keeping things on schedule at this point, I will thank everyone for joining us today. I'm really glad that we were able to do this. Thank you to Hassan, to Awad, and to Emily for joining me. And if you have any questions at all, you can email me at Dagmon, D-A-G-M-O-N @VT, Emily at @Whitehouse@VT, or get in touch through the housing website. And I really hope that you'll consider looking into West AJ and hopefully joining us in the fall. Trust me, it's a blast. Thank you, everyone. For the people who are still here, it's really nice for everyone still like saying goodbye in the chat. Yes, I'm still here. I'm happy to answer questions. Your question was about 3 people living in one room. Not in a regular room, that's not possible. Regular rooms are just for 2 people. If you are selected as an apartment fellow, which is this position that Hassan talked about earlier, those have 4 people in an apartment space, but that is a position that you apply for and you get selected starting your 2nd year. So it's not available for first year students. Yes, you can be an RA during your 2nd year of the contract. And the process we get a ton of support for RAs through Housing and Residence Life. So there's a lot of training that Emily and her colleagues run. And I have been super impressed by seeing what the RAs actually get out of the experience of serving as resident advisors in West AJ. I think it's tremendous growth and leadership opportunity. First year students, so the only suite situation that we have in West AJ is for apartment fellows, and apartment fellows must be sophomores or above. And the reason is that we have an application process and we ask apartment fellows to apply as a group of 4, and that application process takes place in the spring of, like we've already finished it a couple of months ago. Thank you very much for joining us and for the questions. And really, if you have any other questions, feel free to email me. I know that this is a huge change, and usually we host people on campus, and that's not possible now. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Oh, so Ben, you were asking how to apply to be an RA. Oh, okay. So Emily gave you the information, but I'll say really quickly that in October, I think, a call comes out to all current students, sending you a link on how to apply. And then there's an application process that involves several stages of group interviews, individual interviews, until the position is selected. I think it's fair to say, Emily, that it's a competitive process. We have a lot of great students who want to do this, and we end up with fantastic RAs. Okay, so Thrive and VIA are both living, okay, there's 2 big differences between West AJ and Thrive and VIA and a bunch of the other living learning programs. One is that those are living learning communities or living learning programs, and we are a residential college. So the essential difference between the living learning programs and residential colleges has to do with faculty involvement. So we have much more intense, much more extensive faculty involvement. First, that there's a live-in faculty member, which is not the case for these other communities, but also we have a much larger and more engaged group of faculty members who are doing events, mentoring, serving in advisory capacities in various ways with our students in West AJ. And the second difference is that Thrive and VIA, if I'm not mistaken, Thrive is the one that's focused on entrepreneurship, and VIA is the one that is focused on wellness. I'm not exactly sure which one it is. No, that's Meraki. But anyway, both of those have a particular focus, right? So there's something that everyone who came into that community bought into this idea that that is the connecting tissue. For West AJ, the only connecting tissue that we have is that you be a curious, open, eager to learn member of our intellectual and social community. And we don't put any strictures of any other kind on who can join us and what your GPA needs to be or what your major is or what your interests are, because we want a lot of different kind of interests. So that is the major difference. Okay, so I think we're good. Thanks for joining us again, and thank you, Emily. Bye-bye.